Ready when you are.
Good evening. My name is Kelsey Maynard. I am the small business advocate here at Invest Atlanta, and I am super excited to bring to you all another webinar in our small business webinar series. We have Victoria and Raphael here with IPComm. We'll be talking about smarter marketing habits, like what can we do to better market our business, and how do we make sure that is on brand. And then we'll talk about some technology stuff. I know there's a lot of things that are going on in the news right now about content and marketing creativity. So we want to touch on that as well. But before we get started, I want to let you know something how it's good. Number one, if you have questions, there's a chat feature. There's a question Q&A section there. Please put your questions in there. Burn on your heart, put it in there, because we won't be addressing questions until after we've done the presentation. And I'm going to ask the questions intermittently in there, because that's just what I do. But make sure that we listen to the whole presentation, because some of your questions may be answered while they're presenting. So if you have a question that's burning on it, put it in the Q&A section. We'll address it there. Outside of that, I'm just really excited. We have these twice a month, at least twice a month. Y'all hold me to it. At least twice a month, we'll have a webinar to help dig into the small business space. Like, what do we need? So I'm actually interested in knowing what you guys offer, and we're going to learn about marketing today. And I'm going to turn over to Victoria and Raphael to talk to us about marketing. I'm going to be sitting with you guys, because I need to learn this as well. You're on mute.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Victoria Laverde. I'm the VP of Integrated Marketing Services at IPComm. And we are one of the technical providers of Invest Atlanta at the moment. So you can see us there anytime if you want to reach out to us. Today, we want to bring you a workshop that we think is going to be super useful for your marketing collaterals. We believe that everything starts with a compelling story. And the workshop today is a workshop that we actually use to help our clients shape that story. IPComm is a communications agency that's been in business for 40 years, and we specialize mostly in closing that gap that you have in between your company and your audience. And as I mentioned, we believe that storytelling, that understanding what your story is all about, where your value is, and where is your goal, and what your audience needs, is what is gonna close that bridge. So I am very glad to bring you one of our consultants, very good friend, family, everything. One of my best friends, Rafael Maldonado. He's the most amazing storyteller of all times and one of the best videographers I know. And he's going to help me today to bring this to life. At the end, you are going to have 20 minutes where you can ask whatever else that we have not covered here. So just be patient a little bit with us, bear with us, because I'm sure that you are going to have a lot of, we are going to bring a lot of value to you with this exercise. So take notes. Rafa, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. I'm really happy to be here with you guys today. Thanks, Invest Atlanta. Thanks for sharing a little bit of your time with us. They told us we have 30 minutes. So when we were strategizing, how do we fully take advantage the best we can with the 30 minutes we have? I think that there's nothing more important than talking to entrepreneurs who ultimately are solving a lot of problems in the world, being able to showcase how they solve those problems in a way that resonates with the audiences that they're trying to serve. So our whole just mentality behind the workshop is, let's help you create your story brand, which is how are we presenting ourselves? How are we showing up digitally in our messaging? How are we connecting with our audience, their pain points, what they're aspiring to accomplish, and see how can we turn that into an actual story. And so what we're going to offer you guys today is a framework that I hope is something that we can get so concise that you'll never forget it, because we are absolutely surrounded by stories. Our lives are in stories, movies, stories, our pop culture is stories. even the way that we relate to our own lives, we see ourselves as the main character in our stories, right? So the way in which we shape and shape, even the stories we say about ourselves, can have such a big impact on how we see the world. So us as marketers or as entrepreneurs, when we want to be able to create a more deep, trusting relationship with our clients, it's by being able to present them a story that they can identify themselves within. And that's what we're going to work on today. I will not say I am the 100% proprietor of this information, because a lot of what I'm going to share with you all today is from a book called Building Your Story Brand by Donald Miller. And it's like a 150-page book that I'm going to give you all the dirty details right now in a very short amount of time. I feel like we'll really be able to help you make an impact in creating what your story is. So in a nutshell, all stories have many varieties of ways to deliver them. But the one most important one and most common one that we see in all of film and movies and in the world in general is one that's called the hero's journey. And this journey is a very refined set of elements put together that in the end create this emotional connection when we see movies. And I'll just give you a quick exercise so you can think. Imagine a movie. Most movies, they use this framework, and it starts like this. You start by seeing a character. You get to see the things that they do in their daily life. You might see them working out or hanging out with their family or going to work. All these things that leave us little clues about who the actual person is behind the story. So normally that's the first 10 minutes of every movie. And then by the time they have your attention, like, okay, so I like this person. Why should I care about them? Normally, you'll find that this person who you've created this emotional connection with, all of a sudden they encounter a problem, this challenge. And immediately you see the narrative of the story is going to be watching how this hero, this character, overcomes this challenge in order to accomplish the solution. And at the end of the day, that is the elements of all story. There's a hero, there's a challenge, and there's a success or a goal that they're trying to achieve and need to overcome. So in a nutshell, that's what we're going to help you identify today is what are the different elements that can help us identify who our hero is, who that character is, what problem is it that they're facing, and what goal are they trying to attain, so that we can then show how as entrepreneurs or as business owners or as businesses or as services or whatever it is that you're offering and bringing to the table, how is it that you help that hero along that journey? And so that's the framework that we're going to break down for you guys today. Vicky, if you can go ahead and move it on to the next slide, we can jump a little bit more into it. So I figured one of maybe the best examples that we can use at the end of the day for telling stories and defining what it is that we want to use to resonate with our clients, it needs to be defined by our actual clients, right? It can't always, we do our best to try to shape the narrative as best as possible, but we need to put ourselves in our client's shoes, because as this graphic is saying, you know, your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room, right? You can do your best to present it in a certain way, but ultimately they are the ones that define what that brand is. So it's how they think, it's how they feel, and how they behave in regards to your brand. And so all of this is connected with emotion, which is the reason why we're bringing the storytelling aspect into it, because it's the most seamless way to build trust, to build confidence, and more than anything, to build loyalty, long-term brand loyalty with our clients, which for us as entrepreneurs, like that's what we want to do. So let's jump into the next one. We can show how we can find our story, and we're going to break down the elements. You can go ahead and go to the next one. Like I said, it's the hero, the problem, and the brand. So let's start with the hero. So I think more times than not, as entrepreneurs, we need to distinguish right here and now that when we're doing any marketing, the hero of all of our messages is not us, okay? We are not the hero. As much as it hurts to say, it's the truth. At the end of the day, we are here to serve a specific community. We're here to serve a specific person, organization, entity, and those people at the end of the day through our messaging needs to be highlighted. Along that process, as we're discovering who the hero is, we need to understand and have a true in-depth analysis of what challenges are they facing. And there's multiple types of challenges. The first challenge can be an internal challenge. Maybe it's for example, for us as marketers, maybe it's they're a little self-confident. They're not sure exactly how to present the brand. Maybe they feel a little bit antsy. They're not good at communications. They don't like talking in front of people. Maybe these are some of the internal battles. Maybe the external set of problems can be they don't have a website. They don't have a video. They don't know how to, a brand guideline, how to present themselves. Okay, so then there's a more physical or external set of challenges that they're facing that you can identify. So I think when we're trying to identify our hero, our customer, our audience, we need to ask ourselves, what internal struggles are they trying to overcome? And what external struggles are they trying to overcome? Because all of these give us that little piece of information for the beginning of our movie to give those little bit of detail so that we can connect with the person in the story, which hopefully we are going to be reflecting them, right? So that's how we can use brands. That's how we end up building a stronger relationship with audiences. Because if they don't see themselves in your brand and they only see you talking, then there's a big disconnect in your communications. That doesn't make me feel like, oh, I need to listen to this person. It sounds like this person just talks about themselves. And I think that that's a very common thing because the old world of marketing was all about the benefits and the features and all the little bells and whistles that you can add. But ultimately, that comes after you establish the relationship and connection with your audience. So once we identify the hero, and we identify what problems they're facing, internal or external, another problem they could be facing is maybe a villain. Maybe it's their competitors, right? So maybe, I mean, just a little bit of context to give you some things to think about in terms of what challenges are they trying to overcome. Maybe they just want to, for example, in my case, the marketer, maybe they just want to look better than their competitor. That's also a pretty good motivation sometimes that we use to help ourselves stand out. And then ultimately, what's that goal? What's that goal that they're moving towards? What are they trying to accomplish in order to, in terms of their business, in terms of how it relates with what you can help them with? You know, what are they trying to accomplish that they're having a problem actually getting there? And so once we break down these three elements, we'll have a very clear idea of what our hero's journey is. What are they struggling with? What are they struggling with internally? What are some external circumstances that are holding them back from being able to get what they want? And then ultimately showing them, hey, this is what you want, right? To create those stories. So these are the initial steps. And we're going to give you guys a workshop, a worksheet that you guys can work on a little bit later. When you have some time, I'm just giving you a little bit of the overview. So as you're filling it out, you can figure out how to define this. But these are the essential elements: the hero, the problem, and the goal. Okay, now all that sounds fine and dandy, but when do I talk about my business, right? That's what we're here for. How do we market our company? How do we market smarter, right? That's the whole point of why we're here. Now, the way that we do that is by showcasing ultimately that while they are the hero and we understand their struggles and what they're going through, and we know where they're trying to go, we know how to help them get there. We know how to help them overcome that challenge. We actually have a plan to help them expedite that process so that they don't have to have this problem that they're always working with, and they can continue to reach the goals that they want to reach, right? And so I'm going to break this down in a really simple example from a movie. And I hope that this will make a lot of sense for you guys, okay? So I'm going to use the Karate Kid just because I feel like the Karate Kid is kind of like one story that most people know. And it's a great example of almost all the stories in pop culture. I mean, you can pick any movie, Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, any movie you can think of, it follows this dynamic in some shape or form. But we'll use the Karate Kid as our example. All right. So who's the hero in the Karate Kid, right? I think his name is Ralph. I'm not sure. But basically, he's a kid that just moved to a new town. And he's got a couple of problems. Internal problems is that he's the outsider. He just moves to the town. He doesn't really know anybody there. And externally, he's getting bullied. You know, he's getting bullied. He doesn't know how to defend himself. So there's all these different challenges that Ralph, I think his name is Ralph, but we're going to call him Ralph for now, just because it's close to my name. I think I'll just use that as my example for now. But I think his name is Ralph. And he figures out these well, he's discovering these challenges that he has. And all of a sudden, his goal is he wants to fit in and he wants to be able to stand up for himself. So what happens? All of a sudden, while he's in this moment of psychoanalysis and trying to figure out who he is and how to accomplish his goal, a guide appears out of nowhere. This is Mr. Miyagi, right? Mr. Miyagi has a plan. Mr. Miyagi has a structure. Mr. Miyagi has a set of courses in action to tell Ralph, this is what you got to do in order to accomplish the goal that you want. All right. And so as storytellers, how can we use this framework that's so common in all of story and adapt it to our business? You know, this is the way we do it, by allowing our customers or our audiences to understand that they are the hero. But you know what heroes have a lot of? Struggle. They have a lot of struggle. That's what makes them a hero. That's what makes them relatable, because they go through a lot, but they need help because they can't do it all themselves. They have all these circumstances that may be preventing them from getting what they want. But ultimately, the most desirable position of authority in the story is the guide. And that's where we as marketers, we as business owners, we as solutions for our clients need to position ourselves as experts, as guides. And we need to offer them a plan that they can see that we understand, that they can see that we can empathize with their journey. And we can say, hey, come over here. I got a plan for you. Let me help take you to the promised land, which is your goal, right? And there's two different motivators that we can use to guide our audience along the story. The first motivator is to avoid failure, okay? So for example, in the Karate Kid example, we're saying, hey, we're gonna help you with this plan that's gonna get you to your goal so that you don't ever feel bullied again. So that you can stand up whenever you feel like you need to say something, so that you don't cower anymore. Right? That's the avoid failure motivation. Or you can say, hey, listen, I know you're going through a lot. The plan that's going to help you get to the goal is going to help you be so strong, be so self-sufficient. You're going to be so self-confident. People are going to radiate towards you, right? So we show them this version of success. In marketing, we also say desired future state, right? Or the dream scenario, right? So all of these are elements that we can ultimately use to help us guide our clients to building trust with us, to knowing we have the solution, but ultimately to achieve their own goals. And that is how we can break down how to share this story with our audience in a way that resonates, that builds that trust, and it builds that brand loyalty that we're searching for. So that, in a nutshell, is the hero's journey framework. I challenge you to think of a movie, to think of a story that doesn't play along these specific attributes. Sometimes the guide is Yoda, right? In the Star Wars, right? Sometimes the guide is a random shepherd in a field. You know, sometimes it's a spiritual guide. Other times it's a group or whatever. You know, there's many different examples that can help us ultimately guide the story, but they all follow this framework. And as the guide, the one thing that we are called to do ultimately is to guide the hero along the journey, but most importantly, to call them to action. Because the last step that Mr. Miyagi does is he says, okay, I've given you the plan, I've given you the route to success, but now you must sign up for the karate tournament. Now you must take that responsibility to achieve your goal, right? And so that's our perspective. That's how we can help not only elevate the quality of stories that we're telling, but we're actually creating true relationships with people because we're doing the homework to understand them, to show them themselves, but more importantly, to show them the solution and how we can help them get there, right? And this is a way that we build the trust through the back door instead of saying, hey, I work at the best marketing agency ever. I have the strongest web design that you've ever seen in the world. And we lead with all these things that create the disconnect that don't allow us to truly connect with what our purpose is. So my background in media and production and storytelling and video has been able to help me put this in a framework that's obviously inspired by this book, Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. But ultimately, it uncovers a more universal truth, which is, how do you do what you do? You know, how are you helping the world? How are you helping people? And that is how you can then put yourself in your client's shoes and show them themselves. So in a nutshell, that's how we tell a positive brand story. I can give you an example of how this could work for, for example, I've worked with a dental surgeon, right? So this works across all industries. This works in construction, in IT, and consulting, and technology. I mean, it works in everything, right? So for example, let's say the dental surgeon, right? The hero is a customer, someone who's been struggling with their teeth for a long time. Maybe they had some trauma. They're worried about how they look. They're a little bit insecure, right? Now we're talking about the internal problems. They're a little bit insecure. They don't know how to show up. They don't even smile in the photos, right? External problem. They don't feel like they can show up at work. They don't like the aesthetic of how their teeth look, etc. Right? So then there comes the doctor. The doctor says, "Hey, listen, I understand your problem. You're not the only one that's going along with this situation. I actually have a solution that can help you get where you're trying to go, which is just be confident, just smile, just enjoy your life, just not be worrying about your smile, right? So now I'm showing them that version of success that they can get, right? And then here's the plan. Here's how we do it. We have, in business, we say this is our standard operating procedure. This is our processes. This is whatever, right? This is how we actually help you facilitate that plan, right? And then why don't you take the action to better your life, better your smile, better that self-esteem, and let's get started. It's all in your court. You want to work with me? Let's do it. Boom. So that, in a nutshell, is one way you could share that particular story. So what could that look like maybe in a video? Maybe that looks like you see a person that has, teeth and they're a little bit insecure. And then you see them not really wanting to engage in their son's birthday party in the pictures, right? But then all of a sudden, they're doing some research online and they see this dental surgeon. They come in for a consultation. He walks them through the process. They walk out with a perfectly good smile. I mean, that's the story. That's every story.
And right there you have your commercial.
There's your commercial. So
and that's
I got questions. So look,
I'm here.
This is the most simple thing, but it's so funny because the way that a lot of us do marketing now is that we have to qualify ourselves. Like, why should you listen to me, right? And it's funny because I'm thinking about how often you're right. You said it. It's like, here are my qualifications. This is what I've been doing for the last 20 years. I went to school for this. I've worked under the latest and the greatest. And now I'm bringing my resources and I'm bringing my expertise to help you. And the way you put it here makes so much sense. It's almost like I'm graduating from the selfishness of my brand. Like, the brand is about me, and it's not about me. It's now saying, all right, let me if I'm this much of an expert, I should know the problems that I'm trying to fix, and let's utilize the problems as the source of attraction. Are you experiencing this? If I'm a psychologist, are you experiencing trauma? Have you experienced trauma? Did you lose someone recently during COVID? Are you struggling with a depression or with expressing your emotion? Have you been going through relationships and been struggling because of this undiscovered anger that comes out of nowhere? Like, let's talk about the issues, the problems, and then guide you with a plan of how I can fix it. Later on how we can fix it with these steps. And that's interesting. But I'm interested in seeing this one now. Like, how does somebody who has a business, I understand how to tell a story, but how do I really tell the story? How do I do 100%. That with business?
So 100%. So here's why I believe this is a really powerful and useful framework, is because don't start with the story. Start with the elements, because the elements make the story. So start with the hero. What do they want? What are they trying to achieve? Where do they want to go? What are they struggling with? What's the problem? What's the internal problem, external problem? Here on the worksheet, we have philosophical problem. Do they have a villain? You know, maybe it's mental health, right? And you're a mental health professional, and maybe they have toxic working relationship. Maybe they have a toxic. So maybe their problem is actually a person or an identity or a competitor or whatever the case may be, right? Then show how you, as the guide, can meet them with empathy. This is the first step of building true, authentic relationships with brands. The relationship that you're saying of, hey, you know, I'm realizing I actually talk a lot about myself first, even though there is a place for that. I don't want to say that there's not a place. There's 100% a place. But it's not the first thing that you do when you shake someone's hand. You don't tell people how awesome you are right when you shake someone's hand. First, you have a little small talk. You get to know a little bit about their lives. Hey, how was the weather for you? You have a little coffee. Okay, now that we actually are getting a little deeper, hey, tell me a little bit about you. What do you have going on? What's your struggle? And then at the end, you can say, man, I relate with you. I have the empathy to see where you're at. I actually have the expertise to help you get through it. If you actually want to deal with this problem, I can show you success. And how about we join this thing together and you take the action to say, yo, today's the last day that I'm going to deal with this problem. And me and you, we start the journey so that you can have that success. And then once they're like, okay, I'm kind of interested, then that's your time to, once you're past the interest, and now they're in their desire phase, which is maybe they're going to start looking at your website. Maybe they're going to start looking about your background. Maybe they want to know about your experience, right? Then you can say, hey, man, I've been in, for example, this, I'm going to call this the mental health, right? So I've been in mental health for 20 years. I've helped these many clients. I'm focused on behavioral therapy. I'm helped on this, on that. I know I'm certified in this. So your connection with them comes first because people make emotional decisions, but we justify our emotional decisions with logic. But most times what we do is we lead with the logical parameters, the checklist, but then we miss the emotional connection. So then there's no connection there. So we got to start with the emotions. Hey, man, I understand you. I know where you're going. I empathize with that. I respect that. I want to help that. My whole life is to help that. Here's how we can actually do that. And then you have the logical. So now when they're thinking, oh, do I spend $150 for this session with this, you know, do I do it? Now they're thinking, okay, but he's an expert. He's been doing this for 20 years. He helps people that look just like me. Look at his site. He knows everything. Like, this guy's going to solve my problem, you know? That's when the logical stuff comes in. So when it comes to creating your story, start with the elements, you know, start with this worksheet. You may find that you have more than one hero, which is very common. You have different target audiences, right? Maybe you want to target professionals in your therapeutic practice.
Yes, because what I like to do, I like to walk step by step, because what this would do is, number one, prevent everybody that's on this call, on this Zoom, to email me tomorrow and ask me step by step what to do. We're gonna walk through it. I'm just gonna send this video. So let's look at this. So let's build a story. And the funny thing is, you called him Ralph. That's his real name. It's Daniel. Danielson.
Daniel.
So I don't really that's what was going good. But look, so with this here, if we're using this to create our brand story, the hero section.
Can we have one of them tell their business? One of the business.
Maybe let's use an example.
Maybe just use an example, like somebody has a barber shop.
Do me a favor, go to the Q&A section and you put in what your business is, and then we're gonna try to build a story. It's not gonna be specific to you, honestly, but if you can put in what your business is, it'll give us a framework for us to kind of walk through this process a little bit. So you can go to the Q&A section, put what your business is, and we're gonna go try to walk through one of them real quick.
Perfect. That'd be cool.
And I'll get all the help.
Okay.
This is a feeler to see if anyone's here, if they're paying attention. If not, then Kelsey's getting all the vibes today.
Yes. And
with that, we're gonna do a restaurant.
We're gonna do a restaurant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
What type of restaurant? Let's do a Colombian restaurant.
Colombian restaurant.
A Colombian restaurant.
Okay. Perfect. A Colombian restaurant it is. All right. So So I guess we can go ahead and start with that. I think the restaurant is a very easy one, just because you have the obvious desire, which the problem is that people are hungry, right? But you also have the maybe internal, which could be Colombians miss that food, right? Maybe there's some nostalgia behind the food. Maybe they want to taste their mother's food that they haven't tasted in a while, right? They have maybe the location of the restaurant has something that can offer a connection, a community, right? So maybe they're missing that connection, but through the restaurant, they actually build that connection. To the
make it very specific to Atlanta. We're a Colombian restaurant in a disinvested area, and the problem is we're in a growing area that hasn't grown yet.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay.
So then here's the question. The question comes: are we acting as the restaurant, or are we acting as the marketing company helping the restaurant? Because if we focus on the restaurant, we would then be focusing on the kind of people coming in the area, versus we focus on the marketing perspective. Maybe we would focus on the restaurant and the struggle that they have in order to uplift their message. You see what I'm saying?
And we have another thing. When we're putting that problem, we are talking about also a business plan. So it is a bigger picture. Like we are getting into. Are we talking about
getting into brand strategy?
Business plan.
All right.
Because why do we put the restaurant in a place where it's in development? Do we saw the plan of how many people with Hispanic heritage was going to live in that place? So that will be another subject.
They said start is the marketer.
Perfect. So we'll do it as the marketer. So
Okay.
as the people in this area, right? Let's just say it's an area in development, right? What is something that they need that you can provide a solution for? So maybe you could say what they're looking for is affordable food, better quality food, more diverse options of food.
All
right?
that.
Exactly. So you have all these different, reasons and behind what they actually are trying to achieve. Maybe they need a quick option close to home because they want to get out of their house. Maybe they work from home from COVID and they feel like they're always stuck in their house. They need to get out. Let's see, internal battle. Maybe they're not giving themselves enough self-love these days. And one of the ways you can give yourself self-love is through the food that you eat, because you deserve to eat good food, right? So you have all these different ways you can position yourself. Maybe philosophical, maybe a bit more challenging with food. It can be maybe the example of the nostalgia, right? It could be a Nigerian restaurant, right? And you like always want to eat Nigerian food, but you can't find any Nigerian food. Example A, right? Or this Colombian food, or whatever. Maybe it's you want to connect back to your roots. Maybe you want to just try something new. Maybe you're always challenging yourself to try something new. Maybe you're a foodie, you're a food critic, right? There's all these different.
So, real quick, so for the hero you're saying is the person who's we want to dine at the restaurant, right?
If we're acting as the restaurant, then that is going to be the hero. The hero at the end of the day is our audience.
It's our audience, so the people that is eating in the restaurant.
Are coming to eat.
People that have the nostalgia of the restaurant.
People that are going to pay.
Exactly.
People that are going to pay us. That's the hero. The hero.
So the problem is they are missing the food, the Colombian food, correct? And what we want to them is to empathize with Colombian food and Hispanic heritage food and all that. So what is the plan? The plan is we got to tell them why our restaurant will bring that nostalgia out. And maybe the name of the restaurant needs to be something that, I don't know, like something about home food, something about I don't know, eating the food of your mom. I don't know. Come up with a name, Rafa. For the restaurant.
Well, at this point,
something that recalls
right
nostalgia, correct? Something that brings you back to that region of food or to something like that.
Right.
Yes?
Real quick, so I don't want to walk too fast. So if we are we say we're going to be the marketer. So the hero would have been the restaurant.
No, the hero is the client.
The client.
Yeah, exactly. So right now, I think it's in our best interest to use the example of the business instead of as the marketer, because for me, then I can just say, oh yeah, the problem is your marketing solution, right? So I think to give us a little bit more context for
Right.
this
So
conversation, let's
and we're walking through how I'm trying to figure out how I can better market and show my brand. So
Exactly.
the hero in my example will be the client, the
client, exactly.
guest.
And so, for example, you have different types of audiences, right? So for this particular story, we'll focus on one specific type of audience. So, for example, a restaurant, the hero could be families. The hero could be the digital nomad that needs a place to eat. The local who's been living in town forever and wants to try new spots, right? All these are different people. So let's go ahead and let's pick one, right? Let's focus on families, all right? So we'll do the specific journey with this specific audience,
and the hero is families, okay? So what's the problem that families have
when it comes to having Colombian food, right? Maybe their problem is that they always eat the same food and they never switch it up, and they're tired of the food they eat all the time, and they just want to go somewhere that they can have something new. Maybe it's that the family's always at home, the mom's always doing the dishes, and the dad's always cooking, and they're tired and they don't want to sweat anymore. They want to go find some food, right? Maybe it's that the kids are really picky eaters, but the only thing he eats is Colombian food. So you want a Colombian food, right? So you have all these different options of who this family can be, and you need to start identifying what are the internal, which is maybe parents wanting more quality times with their kids. Okay, that's an internal thing. So they take the family to go eat at a restaurant so they can just bond and they can catch up on life. That's the internal, maybe an example of an internal struggle that they're dealing with.
I got one. So external would be maybe my family's Colombian, but my kids been raised in America. And I want to take them to an authentic Colombian restaurant because they haven't experienced the essence of that greatness. So I want to take them to a place that gives them the vibe that they've been missing.
Exactly. So that's it.
Okay.
So that's an external. Philosophical, maybe a little bit more challenging with a restaurant, but it could be that nostalgia. You can use that nostalgia piece. They just feel like they want to have a deeper sense of connection with their family because they're not a part of their culture anymore, not eating their food all the time. And they just want to connect with their roots, so they go to a restaurant. Maybe a little bit of a stretch in this scenario because it's a restaurant, but you can apply it to your own brand. For example, let's just focus on this brand for now. Okay, so perfect. So now we understand that.
Or what's the next step after that? With the plan?
Yeah, so the next step would be meets a guide.
That's the next step. So perfect. So now we have our hero, which is families, and we have the problem, which is, let's focus on one problem for now, which is they want to spend more quality time together and they don't get that opportunity at home. All right. So then they meet a guide, or in this instance, a restaurant, right? And the restaurant has, for example, it could have. So a restaurant, first thing they'd say is, how do they understand this problem? So the restaurant, maybe the business, maybe the founder of this restaurant, he has a family too. And he talks about his struggle with connecting with his family because he's always at his job and he wants to find other ways. So he's found that food is the best way to connect people. Food is the best way to have really transparent conversations, really easy going. They don't feel so set up like a business meeting. There's a lot more flow in the conversation. And he's found that food is a great tool to be able to help facilitate those connections, right? So then you're connecting with the business owner because now the business owner says, hey, he understands my problem. I have that same problem with my family. Mm-hmm. So then how does then the authority, right? So then the authority aspect says, hey, I try to do this with my family all the time. And 7 years ago, I discovered that whenever I make a specific meal plan with the most colorful Colombian foods I have, I connect deeper with my family because they like trying all the new things. I'm a chef for 25 years. I've been designing cookbooks. I have a YouTube channel, I have whatever, right? All these things that are establishing this authority, right? And then they say, call to action. Listen, we want you to have more quality time with your family. So why don't you come to our restaurant? And if you're a family and you come in with parents and a kid, we'll give you a 10% discount on your thing. So that could be maybe a messaging aspect, right? Call them into action. The direct action would be come to my restaurant. The transitional aspect, which is also here on the sheet, could be, hey, why don't you check out our website and see what tailored meals we have specifically for family events? Boom. Then that's then that's a transitional. It's not directly asking them to buy, but it's saying, hey, go find a little bit more information out about us, right? And then that ends in success, right? That'd be our next one. So the ends in success would be the family sitting around the table, having a delicious meal where people are coming by and dropping food off. The kids are laughing. The parents are toasting a little bit of wine. They're enjoying. They're all having a good time. The kids are coloring. A great, beautiful moment that the family's sharing. Avoiding failure would be maybe you don't want to have. So this is two different ways that you can motivate people, right? So in the success version, we show them what the success looks like. In the avoid failure moment, we show them what not changing does. So by not taking this action to go to this restaurant and eat food and connect more with your family, you're creating a bigger disconnect with your family. You know how hard it is to spend time with young kids, even as it is with phones, with whatever, right? So you're showing them this failure that you're like, hey, you should avoid that and come to the restaurant so that you can help facilitate that connection you have with your family. So that's one example of you can kind of walking people through this story. And if you want to go even deeper, then you can ask yourself, what transformed about this family before they did this, they decided to take this action, and after? So before, you would describe things like antsy, maybe a bit anxious, chaotic house environment, lots of noise, running around, disconnection from the kids, not paying attention, lack of discipline, whatever you want to imagine. And then you have after, you have connected family. Maybe you want to show less cell phones, more face-to-face interaction, deeper conversations, learning about more than just what did your kid do at school today, but you learn all his favorite hobbies and the things that he's watching on TV, and you create a deeper relationship. So that's one example of how you can share this story. So how would you show that maybe in marketing, right? So now you have all these different elements and you want to put the story together. The most three fundamental are the hero, the problem, and the success, right? Because that's what's going to get people to hook, right? So you could start off, for example, let's call it a commercial, right? Beginning of the commercial, you talk about the character before the transformation. Hey, listen, families, I understand where you're going through. It's very difficult to have a deeper relationship with our kids, to find more quality time, and to build on the family values that we're looking to build. All right, now you're moving, that's the problem. Now you're moving to the goal. The goal is, hey, I know you want to connect more with your family. We, as the guide, as the restaurant, we know one way that will 100% help you create more intimate relationships with the people in your life. And that's by having an incredible meal. So our restaurant, we focus on having multi-course meals that help facilitate the long quality time that's necessary to build these deep relationships with people in our life. So why don't you come try our specialized menu of whatever to help you, that is your offer per se, and call them into action in order for them to achieve that success. So you could show in images on your marketing, on your social media, you're showing pictures of families dining together. You're showing pictures of kids going to the restaurant or taking the to-go food or whatever. You show them what success looks like, which is using your product, right? But you make them the protagonist. So that's in a nutshell how we could use this restaurant example.
I like it. And I appreciate this because I really feel like sometimes our perspective is, I have to, again, qualify myself. Like, what is it about me? I think we do that at the beginning and not as the guide, if you will. So that's very interesting. I do want to say we have 16 minutes left. So I want to be able to let people ask some questions before I bring up some technology stuff that we talked about earlier.
Yes.
Perfect. I would love to hear maybe from Vinny Williams, because he commented and said that his is a little too complicated, and maybe we can use that as a challenge. Maybe he can say a little bit about his business, because obviously I think that while we're not trying to write the whole story in one or two sentences, because of course, people write movies on this, right? That doesn't fit in one sentence, but it's just the overall framework for the narrative and the messaging that we can send. Maybe if he wants to offer, maybe share a little bit more about his business, we could dive deep into that. But I do think it's a framework that is pretty applicable to pretty much anything. So,
but I also wanted to give them like a statement, like all this that we have talked about can be resumed in something like we create family moments around a healthy a table with healthy Colombian food. And that could be your story. Yes.
There you go.
So
Yes.
let's make it, like all this can be when somebody asks you, okay, what is your business all about? We create family moments around a table with healthy Colombian food. And that's your story. And that's different than say, oh, we do Colombian food that is amazing. And that's different, and that's more touchy. And that's like, it makes you think twice about that restaurant. Yes. So that's like to
No, great example. Yeah.
because we are a lot about, we were talking about a lot about videos, and I was trying to think, okay, how to give them something that seems more tangible for
Right.
other things when you
Example,
are
yeah. I think
acting with a client or something like that. Yes.
like this is a great example.
And that's
of
where
your-
we are trying to get you to understand that if you tell the story to relate to your client is gonna immediately connect with you. That's the whole.
Yeah, I mean, this is applicable in many different aspects. Like this
Could be used in a elevator pitch, like a lot of these same elements, we use them in the business world too, right? I mean, unique value proposition, that's the plan in this situation, right? Like that's how we're uniquely building that confidence as the guide, right? There's all these different ways that we can ultimately utilize this. And I think that's a great example, even from mass marketing campaigns, even to just a simple conversation, right? So you're not always talking about yourself. You're saying, hey, I work with families. I believe in spending a better quality time with people. So I decided to open up a restaurant that I facilitate these with. And I specialize in Colombian food because I was a chef in Colombia for 20 years. If you'd like to try some food, build stronger connections with your family, like you can find them at my restaurant. Boom.
Right.
So, but
And I
I
think
like your idea. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So put like having this allows you to put a story together that is maybe can be sung in two sentences, But it seems like this group is very quiet. So I do want to ask you guys about some things that are like, these are buzzwords now, if you will. AI and of course Chat GPT. Like how can we utilize these two very similar concepts to help better put together these stories and help us with our marketing?
I have plenty of thoughts on it.
Yes, that's a big discussion, and I will open with, these tools have been available for a long time. The difference right now is this one in particular is open to the market for free for a period of time. So very soon it's gonna be, you will have to pay for it. It will be charged. So take advantage of the tool right now, because is definitely useful. Now, I do think that you need to know what the objective of what you want to get from the chat is, because if not, it will be very broad and not detailed for what you probably want to use it for. And always check the content that you get from it, because you don't want something that is so generic that it doesn't connect necessarily with your audience. Make sure also that what you are getting, you understand it. So if you are using it for your content in your website, in your blog, in a brochure or something, you can actually discuss it and be comfortable with the content you're getting. And that will be like my thing to say, because I know that Rafa would like to say something probably different.
If you stop, I will share my screen, and so we can take a look at one.
Okay, I will stop sharing now.
Yeah, no, I will
second with what you said. I think it's 100% something that it's a tool at the end of the day, right? And maybe in the past, a lot of the tools that we used in terms of labor or processes or shifting data to more insightful content is now giving us this access through Chat GPT. And Chat GPT is obviously integrated in many different worlds. I think like just the start of AI is, for me as a marketer, this is like, I'm so happy. Some people can see it and think, oh, wow, like this is going to take jobs. But at the end of the day, it helps us be even more efficient. It helps us to
Maybe even sometimes understand problems that we don't really actually understand, but we can get solutions. I would encourage you all to test it and to try it out. But I do think that what Victoria's saying is very applicable. You know, at the end of the day, now the creativity doesn't come, it comes on the input, right? So how do we use this technology to help us elevate what we're trying to do? I would challenge you all to even try this example, which is go to the Chat GPT and say, write me a brand story using the principles.
Whoa. I told you, we're not throwing out ideas.
Let's go there. Let's go there.
So I
Let's
don't
go
want
there.
Chat GPT because what I do want to make sure that we're still very Chat GPT yourself. Google that, sign up, you got to log in, all that stuff. I have it.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of us are using Canva as a way to create content for our social media, our web pages, things of that nature, our blogs. So I was like, let's pull up Canva and let's see the new AI feature that they have on Canva. So that, I mean,
Okay.
it's very easy to go to Canva and do this. You go to ChatGPT and write a whole manuscript if you need to, but it's marketing and content. So I found this out the other day. So if you go to Canva, and there's a dot, it says dot, design visual dots. You click that, I'm gonna make sure I can still see it on the screen. Click it.
Yes, we are.
You can still see my screen. Magnificent. Wi-Fi don't fail me now. So I saw this, right? You go here, and if you click this plus sign, I'm using the desktop. So click this plus sign, and it says Magic Write. Click that, and then here it allows you to write something. So right now we're talking about restaurants. So let's see. What do you want to write?
Now this is
the opportunity now to see how to best leverage the tool.
because maybe what you put will give one answer, and maybe what I'll put will give a slightly different answer, right? So in this particular example, we could use write me a story.
Hold on, I'm going to say how to attract families to my restaurant.
Uh-huh.
I spelled that wrong.
But you can even use it to tailor it to the story brand book. So you can at the end of that say, with the principles of building a story brand. That's it. And see what comes up.
You're making it complicated, but that's what we need, right?
Building a story brand. Building a story brand.
Building a story brand.
Yep. And the story brand, I think, is one word.
Let's see.
Woo!
How to attract
Now, I haven't tried Canva.
The magic.
Now, what it says, let's make it bigger. That's not going to work. Attracting families to your restaurant could be a great way to build a thriving business. Utilizing the principles of building a story brand can help create engaging experience for your customers that will draw them in and keep them coming back. To get started, try focusing on crafting a clear message that is attractive to families. Make sure to emphasize the benefits of visiting your restaurant, such as delicious food, a fun atmosphere, and great customer service. Additionally, create a strong brand identity with logos, colors, fonts that evoke a sense of familiarity and comfort. Finally, use your marketing materials to share stories of how families have enjoyed their experience at your restaurant, as this will show potential customers that your restaurant is worth the visit. By following these tips, you can use the principles of building a story brand to help attract more families to your restaurant. Now, again, this isn't going to tell you what to do. This is if you were a successful restaurant trying to help other restaurants with your content. That's how it was written. This is for content. If I want to post about how I was able to make my family restaurant, Colombian restaurant, popular, these are the principles I use, and I don't have to write it because I just typed in what I did by saying, how do I attract families? And this tells you based on the story brand how to do it. And I can take that and make it in bullets and put it into my Canvas and post it on social, Facebook or Instagram, or, I can read that and on YouTube channel. And that was really interesting. Nobody else finds that interesting?
I think actually I was going to say, let's compare now that same prompt that you did, because what you actually put was how to attract people to a restaurant. So that gave you a bunch of things that you could do to attract people. Now let's make it write the story for us. So let's
Yeah.
say, write a story for a Colombian restaurant targeting, oh, there you go,
Targeting families.
targeting, yeah, exactly. Colombian restaurant targeting families who want more quality time using the principles of building a story brand by Donald Miller. And let's see what comes up.
I'm very curious. We got 4 minutes left, but I want to see how this works. Because if you go to Canva, you can do this all day. Now, this is a story. Once upon a time, there was a family who wanted to spend more quality time together, but their busy lives, it just seemed like a daunting task. That's when they heard about a magical Colombian restaurant that promised to make their dreams of quality time come true. Located in the heart of the city, this restaurant was a place of vibrant colors, lively music, and delicious aromas. As they walked in, they could not help but be filled with joy and anticipation. The family was greeted warmly by the restaurant's friendly staff. They were quickly taken to a table in the center of the room and were presented with a menu of delicious Colombian dishes. As they explored the menu, they were also presented with a variety of entertainment options designed to keep everyone in the family engaged. They spent the evening enjoying the tantalizing flavors of Colombia, dancing to the music and playing games. They felt a sense of closeness that had been missing from their lives. When the night was over, the family left the restaurant feeling refreshed and reconnected. They had found a new way to spend quality time together, and it was all thanks to the magical Colombian restaurant. Golly.
Welcome to the future, baby.
What do you need? Now we have questions. That's
So
crazy.
either way,
I'm gonna stop sharing
you need
because-
to know what you need, and you need to know how to ask for it. That's the key.
It's a great example.
That's the key.
Man. So they always ask this question every time. It's like clockwork. I should say it at the beginning, but I'm going to say it right now. This has been recorded, and everybody that registered will receive an email with our contact information, as well as a link to this recording so that you can rewatch this and you can take screenshots. But I'm wondering, will y'all be sharing that template for the storyboard? So maybe
You can share the presentation, and we send the just the exercise by itself so they can have it. Yes.
there we go. But
Yeah.
it will be recorded. You will be able to share that. But I want to tell y'all the things that are really important about this. You don't have to do this by yourself. The reason I brought Victoria and Raphael on is because at Invest Atlanta, we have a website called atlnbusiness.com. ATLINbusiness.com. Go to that website, and up top you see it says find a consultant. You can actually go click find a consultant, go to IPComm, click the link, fill out the information about your business, and when you hit submit, they will send you an email to connect with you, and they can work with you to write all this out and develop your brand and put together your marketing materials. And guess what? It's at no cost to you. It's at no cost. It doesn't cost you anything, but a little bit of time to put an effort into wanting to build a better brand for your business. So you can go to atlnbusiness.com, hit find a consultant, and look for IPComm. And these two beautiful people right here, along with their rest of their entire staff, will be able to assist you at no cost to you to help you better build the brand for your business. Now, there are other businesses on there as well that help in other areas like finance and legal, and all the business assistance you can need can be on atlnbusiness.com here at Find a Consultant. So you will be able to do that. I encourage you. I learned stuff, and I'm like, man, if I did work for Invest Atlanta, I would take advantage of these services, but I cannot because the money that they use is for you. So make sure you go to atlnbusiness.com and you find a consultant that works for you, preferably IPComm. Yeah, you're welcome. Now, I do want to tell you one more thing because it's 7 o'clock and I don't like to stay over too long. But we have an event next Thursday, February 23rd at the Pittsburgh Yards. Pittsburgh Yards, right there on the University Ave, is one of our hubs, our neighborhood hubs for Invest Atlanta, where we have small business people there to work with you in your business. But guess what? Next Thursday at 6 p.m., we have a networking business mixer where we have accelerators from around the city, like 9 of them, that will be there to speak with you. This is informal. I want you to just be able to talk to people, but I want you to be in the room because I have accelerators there. So if you're like, man, I want to take my business to the next level, or I want to get my business off the ground, there are organizations that are around the city that can help you with that. They have programs, they have grant programs, they have all kind of stuff, all resources for you. And I want to make sure that you're in the room with those people so you can talk to them, find out what you need to do, meet face to face, get their contact information, get their flyers, and be able to build your business here in the city of Atlanta. That is Thursday, 6 p.m. at Pittsburgh Yards. We will be there. Go to investatlanta.com and scroll down to events and register. Y'all use RSVP and then show up. Show up. I am appreciative of you guys, Raphael and Victoria. I appreciate you so much for being here and talking to these business owners about how to market smarter. I hope they learned a lot. I know I did. And again, this has been recorded and it will be sent to you if you register for it. And with that, 7:01, it's time to say good night, guys. Thank you so much.
Have a good night. Thank you so much for the invitation and for the space. And I hope that we can help you all whenever you want to.
Absolutely. ATLandbusiness.com. That's where you go. Find a consultant, find IPComm, and get your branding and marketing needs met. How about that?
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelsey. Bye,
Beautiful night.
everyone.
Thank you.
Good night.